Welcome to the Explainer. We're surrounded by this digital world, right? But who actually builds the plumbing, the foundation for all of it? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most critical and honestly fastest growing roles in tech, the data engineer. These are the unseen architects, and we're going to figure out what exactly they do.
All right, let's kick things off with a pretty common story, a problem a lot of companies run into. So you go out and you hire these super smart, very expensive data science teams. You're expecting them to work some magic, find these incredible game-changing insights, but then nothing. The projects just kind of stall out. What's going on here? Why does this happen all the time?
Well, the answer, and this might surprise you, really comes down to this one number: 80%. Just think about that. That's how much time a data scientist can end up spending not on the cool stuff like analysis or building machine learning models, but on something else entirely. Yep, you heard that right. They're totally bogged down in the prep work. The analogy I love is this. You hired them to be these amazing treasure hunters, right? But instead, they're spending almost all their time just trying to build a ship, draw the maps, heck, even just finding clean water for the voyage. They're not even looking for the treasure yet. And this struggle is so real, it's not just some abstract problem. The authors of our source for this, Fundamentals of Data Engineering, they lived this. They actually call themselves recovering data scientists because this exact challenge is what pushed them out of data science and into this whole new field. So this huge foundational problem created a demand for a grand new kind of specialist. And that's where the data engineer comes in. But here's the thing. As the role got more important, it also got, well, kind of confusing. Like, what do these people actually do all day?
I mean, seriously, go look it up online. You'll get a million different answers. Some people will tell you it's a superset of business intelligence. Others swear it's all about big data tech like Hadoop and Spark. And some just boil it down to moving data around. It's a mess. And all that confusion makes the role really hard to pin down.
Okay, so to cut through all that noise, our source gives us a really clean, simple way to think about it. At its core, data engineering is all about building and maintaining the systems that take in raw, messy data and turn it into high-quality, consistent information. That's the key. They build the reliable pipelines that make data trustworthy and usable for everybody else. So, the big question is, how do they pull this off? Well, it's not about one single magic tool or technology. No, there's a blueprint they follow, a core framework that really guides everything they do. And here it is. This is the big idea, the data engineering lifecycle. What's so cool about this is that it gives you a complete picture of data's journey, from its birth all the way to where it creates real value. It's not about a tool, it's about a process, a repeatable 5-stage flow. Let's quickly walk through this. It all starts with generation. That's just where the data gets created. Then you gotta put it somewhere, right? That's storage. Ingestion is how you get it from its source into that storage. Now, transformation, this is where the real magic happens. It's all the cleaning, shaping, and enriching. And finally, serving. That's when you make that beautiful, clean data available for everyone to use. Okay, so this whole life cycle concept, it brings us right back to that 80% problem we talked about at the beginning. This is exactly why data engineering is so critical. It's the foundation for literally everything that comes next. Here's a great way to picture it. Think upstream versus downstream. The data engineers, they're the ones working upstream, building the dams, purifying the water, making sure a clean, steady river of data is flowing. Everybody else, your data scientists, your analysts, they're all downstream, and they absolutely depend on that clean flow to do their jobs. And this pyramid, wow, this just nails the point perfectly. It's called the data science hierarchy of needs. And it's so simple, right? You can't even think about doing the cool stuff at the top, the AI, the deep learning, if you don't have a solid, reliable foundation at the bottom. It's just impossible. So what this really means is that data engineers own those bottom layers of the pyramid. All the collecting, moving, storing, and creating reliable pipelines, that's their world. And by handling all that, they free up the data scientists to focus on the top of the pyramid. It makes the whole operation possible, and more importantly, it makes it scalable. But here's the thing, this role is not static. Not at all. It's been changing like crazy, evolving dramatically, because, well, the entire world of data has just gotten unbelievably more complex. You can actually trace its history pretty neatly. The role really started back in the 90s with data warehousing. Then came the 2000s and the big data explosion, all thanks to stuff like Hadoop.
The 2010s were all about the cloud. And now, in the 2020s, it's changing again into what our authors call the data lifecycle engineer.
And if you're wondering why it had to evolve so much, well, look at this. This chart says it all. The number of tools in the data and AI world has just exploded. We're talking from maybe a few dozen in 2012 to thousands today. So a modern data engineer isn't a master of one giant system anymore. They're more like a master integrator, connecting all these different pieces together. And because of that explosion of tools, their skill set has had to expand like crazy. It's way beyond just being good at SQL and Python now. You have to understand cloud architecture, security, how to manage costs, and maybe most importantly, you need the soft skills to actually talk to the business side and figure out what they really need. All of this has created what the book calls a type A or abstract engineer. What does that mean? It means the game isn't about building everything from the ground up anymore. It's about being an expert at choosing and connecting the best ready-made tools and cloud services to get the job done right and fast. And this slide just sums up that shift perfectly. Think about it. Then, the big data engineer was all about managing giant hardware clusters and wrestling with tools like Hadoop. The goal was just process massive amounts of data. Now, the data lifecycle engineer is connecting cloud services like they're Lego bricks. They're focused on that whole end-to-end lifecycle with a much bigger goal: delivering data that's not just big, but high quality, reliable, and secure. Which brings us to a final big question. We live in a world that literally runs on data. Everything from our apps to our business decisions is powered by analytics and AI. So with all that in mind, could it be that the people building the foundations for all of it, the data engineers, are actually the most important people in tech today?